Hey guys, Mr. Breen, and in this video I'm going to talk about economic systems. Any economic system has to answer the following questions. Who controls the factors of production? In other words, who controls the land, labor, physical, and human capital that goes into producing everything? And how are those products distributed to people? Before we talk about what economic system we might want, we need to think about the goals that we have, right? And some of those goals for our economy, for production and consumption, might be protecting the environment, having everybody be sort of close to being equal or maybe exactly equal. Freedom. So you can do whatever you want with your stuff, you can consume what you want, produce what you want, protecting the country from invasion, personal security. So in other words, if you lose your job or get sick, that nothing bad is going to happen to you. Stability, that if you have a job, you're not going to lose it really quickly, or, whatever life situation you're involved in is not going to change really quickly. Efficiency, and we talked about efficiency in another video. Healthcare, maybe getting everybody healthcare in your country, or growth, just being able to produce more stuff every year than you did last year. The first kind of economic system we need to talk about is called command, or centrally planned. And in this kind of economic system, it's the government that controls everything, that controls the factors of production and decides how those products, the things that they produce, are distributed to people. In this kind of system, there's no such thing as private business, and there are no market prices. So it's not that the government controls or tells businesses what to do or controls market prices. It's that there aren't any market prices and that there's no private businesses at all. Systems like this are pretty good at things like stability. So, they can say, well, everybody in our country does this or this, and they're always going to do that because we said so. They're also good at security. So if somebody, gets hurt or injured, they can say, well, we're still going to send you a check, right? A check. We'll still send you your ration of goods every day, something like that. They can be good at equality. So they can just say, well, we make everyone equal. Everyone gets the same amount of money, or money. Again, there's no prices. Everyone gets the same amount of stuff no matter what it is that you do. And, if you want to accomplish one thing, like win a war or get everyone healthcare or protect the environment, then it's pretty good at that. But, all the other things that they decide not to do, not so good at. They're pretty bad at freedom, and that's pretty obvious. They're pretty bad at growth, and they're really, really bad at efficiency. Now, that last thing, that command economies aren't very efficient, might sound surprising. After all, isn't planning good? Isn't it good to have leaders who make tough decisions and stuff like that? Well, that makes a lot of assumptions. It assumes that your leaders aren't going to respond to the incentives that they have just to make those decisions for their own sake or for their own benefit. It also assumes that even if you have some kind of nice altruistic leader who just wants what's best for the people, that he's actually going to be able to make the right decisions for everybody, but he doesn't know what absolutely everyone wants in their life. Plus, he doesn't have enough information about what everybody's good at producing or what people's comparative advantages or their opportunity costs are. Those are things that are very difficult to figure out. And even if he could figure out everything about his country and get a snapshot of what everything was like, things change. So as soon as, within a few minutes or within a few days, everything would change so much that his decisions, his choices would become probably inefficient again. Now, this is one of those things that tells me whether or not you watch the video and listen to it all the way through, because people always want to tell me that command or centrally planned economies are very efficient, but they're not. They're very inefficient. The second type of economic system is a free market. And in a free market, it's not the government that controls the factors. It's private individuals who control the factors of production, and they determine who consumes what, how those goods are distributed. The government does exist, but it only exists to enforce contracts, deals you make with somebody, like I'll work with you for a year and you pay me this amount of money, and to protect private property so, things don't get stolen. Now, when you're describing this to me, I want to forbid you from using the words "the people." Constantly I'll ask somebody, well, the free market, what is that about? And somebody will say, oh, it's the people control everything. Well, the people is kind of a political term. It sounds like you're saying, well, people take a vote and then the government does what they voted on. Well, that would be a command economy. That's not this, right? In this economic system, individuals, without any government involvement, just contract with each other and they buy what they want and they produce what they think other people might want. In other words, in this kind of economic system, everybody just trades what they have for what they might want in markets. Now, this kind of system is very good, obviously, at freedom, and it's also very good at growth and efficiency. That idea might be confusing, again, that without any planning, it's actually more efficient, but think about it this way. Everybody's trading for what they want. Nobody's trading for what they don't want. But everybody knows this when they're making decisions about what it is they're going to produce. So they're only going to produce things that people want. Plus, because they can only trade what they have produced for things, because they can only trade away what they've produced, they're going to use their skills, their resources, their talents to produce the most and the best of what other people actually want. So if it's so great, what is a free market really bad at? Well, things like stability, right? You might lose your job really fast. It might become obsolete. It's not so good at security, right? If you lose your job, there's no government safety net there to sort of rescue you. You might have to rely on a rich friend or relative. It doesn't guarantee equality, right? It's very efficient, but we talked about how efficiency is not the same thing as equality. So some people who have a lot of talent or who maybe are very lucky can become extremely, extremely rich, while other people become very poor. And also, if you have some single individual goal, like protect the country or get everybody health care, well, the free market on its own is quite possibly not going to do those things, which is one of the reasons why when the United States goes to war and we're at full mobilization like World War II, we introduce rationing and stuff like that. That is not a free market at all. Instead, it's more of a command economy. The last kind of economic system I'm going to talk about is a mixed economy. In a mixed economy, some sectors are controlled by the government, so maybe healthcare and education and things like that, whereas others are purely private. So this is what, practically speaking, every single modern country has, but everybody does it in a little bit different way. So in some countries, most things are under government control and some things are private. And in other countries, most things are private, but some things are still under government control. So on far one hand of the continuum, you have countries like the United States and Singapore and Taiwan that are much more free market oriented, right? It's not a pure free market economy, it's mixed, but it's much closer to free market than it is to command. You have countries that are more in the middle, like France. And then you have some other countries that are much closer to a totally command economy, like the People's Republic of China, controlled by the Communist Party, or North Korea at the very, very extreme end. Over the last several decades, especially since the fall of the Soviet Union, we've seen a lot of countries over on this side of the continuum, the more command side of the continuum, sort of try to move over to this side. They're trying to transition from command economies or command-based economies toward more free market economies.